This is Envision Self-Healing Podcast, episode number 47. Hi, I'm Will Fuller.
And I'm Richard Miller.
And we are the co-creators of EnvisionSelfHealing.com and are dedicated in helping you improve your eyesight and quality of life
by taking healing into your own hands. And the topic of the week this week is 5 Steps to a Successful New Year's Resolution, Part 5, Set a Time Frame. And in the question of the week, in the second half of the podcast, we're going to be answering a question that appeared on our Facebook page that referred to going on a juicing diet and then having some blurrier vision. And this person was wondering whether somehow the juicing had caused the blurry vision.
So Richard, how's the world of self-healing been treating you this week?
Well, on the very positive note, I've been talking about my aerobics program. Mm-hmm. It's actually, my trainer is calling it an ATP program, which is sort of an energy. It relates to the mitochondria and the cells, and it relates to. So I'm getting into this, but as you're expending
Start
energy,
off nice and easy.
Start off nice and easy, right.
Don't fry anyone's brain too
No. Don't worry about this, guys. All right. Well, ATP actually relates to my particular form of optic atrophy. That they believe that they don't absolutely know why this happens, but it's a malfunctioning of the ATP function, which relates to the mitochondria, which is the way energy is produced in the cell.
Okay. And
when you're doing exercise, ATP is the first draw of energy. So when you're a sprinter, this is the way my trainer explained it as well. Okay. So if you're starting a race, let's say it's a long distance race. The first little bit of the race where you could actually hold your breath and run is you're using up ATP.
Okay.
And so it's that sprinter's kind of energy. Mm-hmm. And so he's actually orienting my whole program around ATP as a way of helping my optic atrophy. It's a very sophisticated approach he's actually taking to something like this. Okay. So, and why was I talking about ATP, Will?
I don't know. You were talking about
how my week went. All right. Uh-huh. So I was doing it. That has been progressing very well. Uh-huh. I've been doing the trainings twice a week and the aerobics 3 times a week. And I guess, and the positive part was my vision has started to stabilize at a better level. So after my first spin class, I reported that I could read a fortune cookie easily. And for me, fortune cookies are at that edge of type size that I normally have trouble with. I can read bigger, but that's really at the edge.
Right.
And after the first spin class, which was kind of amazing, I could read the fortune cookie right after the class.
Wow.
And I started to notice now that I can more consistently read small type like that.
Is this just an excuse to be able to eat more fortune cookies? Or eat more Chinese food in general after you've exercised and want to...
Well, that was the excuse for the Chinese food. It's like, wow, I've just burned off all of these calories. Now I can go eat Chinese food. And I did eat the fortune cookie, I have to admit. Anyway.
It'd be interesting if your vision got worse after eating
the fortune cookie. Well, no, but I ate the cookie first, I believe. Well, right. I can't remember now. Maybe I did read it first. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I've noticed, and I didn't mention this when we were out to lunch the other day. I was playing with, I could see your eyeballs a little better. This is another clue for me beyond reading, is like someone's eyes.
Okay.
Ironically, looking at someone's eyes, if I can see their pupil and stuff, that means I'm seeing clear.
Wow, that's good.
Because normally I just see sort of, blob of eye.
And we were talking the other day about how people put a lot more emphasis on being able to see that in people. We'd been working with some clients trying to get rid of their glasses, and one of the most difficult things they find is that they can't see people's facial details and crisp, clear images and fine detail. So it makes them socially inadequate and frustrated that they're not picking up on all the subtle social cues. And we were sort of saying that we're not as...
dependent on that.
Yeah.
No, but I could actually seeing your eyes a little. Of course, I was just sort of fascinated with your eyes there for a second. Probably was ignoring what you were saying at the moment. But so I noticed that. And then today, as I was coming back for the gym, I noticed I could see another clue for me is a large street, being able to see the light signal. Because oftentimes I have to just pay attention to what the cars are doing and kind of go with that.
Right.
But and the signal is just small enough. It's another small thing. I was able to see it from across a fairly large street, which I'm not normally able to do. And primarily, this is right now, the main difference I've made in my plan is the aerobics.
Excellent. Getting more blood.
Yeah. The other thing I did is, I won't go into this too much detail, but in the process, you well know that I have a weak link in my back, and it has acted up. Actually, I don't think it was the exercise. I think it was me home decorating. I was carrying a rug from my basement floor all the way up to my top floor because I liked it better up there. So I probably did the damage there. And
I remember not so long ago you did the same thing, moving a chair.
You're right.
So I guess
it's the home decorating part. Yes.
What we take from here is that you never learn.
It's
that's
it's
the
true.
message.
It is true. Well, when you and now the message is, I got obsessive about this rug. It's an emotional message because I could have waited for you to come over and say, will you help me move the rug from the basement? Because you helped me move it into the basement. I waited for that. But then when it came down to, I don't like this rug down here, it was an emotional response. And I wanted to move it as quickly as possible. And now I've been paying for maybe 2 weeks for that.
That was very central visioned of you.
It was.
That wasn't so peripheral.
No. It's not my relaxed peripheral approach to life. It was my central approach. So
good.
Yeah. So that was my week. How was your week doing?
Good. I started off with a nice bunch of flowers. If anyone checks out our Facebook fan page, they'll see a nice bunch of flowers from a client, and you can tell that she's well into our work because the flowers were iris, I think they're called.
Okay.
And it was like a deep purple. It was a brilliant color to see, and it had spots of yellow.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Inside it, and it sort of all opened up. And I thought it was just perfect because it makes the perfect shifting eye exercise, and I've got it next to my laptop, so that every now and then when I take my breaks, I can shift from detail to detail on these brilliant purple flowers. So check out our Facebook fan page and you'll see those flowers there. A lot of people have liked them.
Yeah, I just got a message that tons of people were tagging that photo. Yeah.
And it was only afterwards I found out that they were called irises, which I thought was...
Oh, yeah. I totally went over my head. Now I get it. Yeah.
Which is even more vision related. I'm not too sure our client even realised that. But I also noticed that where I sit, I make sure that I've got a window, big bay windows in front of me, and then windows off to the left of me, which is where the week of vision is in that side. So I've got the light coming in, trying to stimulate that. And I noticed that if I put the flowers off to the left, then the contrast that the flowers are making where the light's coming in, but you've just got this one dark object in the middle of that, is drawing my attention to it in my periphery whilst I'm working on the laptop, because there's a thing there for my periphery to pay attention to. So anyway, another bonus there. Who would have thought you could get all this from flowers?
Flowers, yeah.
A good investment in money for sure.
Definitely.
So I've also been enjoying a lot of sun this week. So I've been doing plenty of sunning.
Right.
Exercise.
Yeah, me too. And we had a real stretch of rain, right?
And we even got an email from a friend and also a member of our audience thanking you for your encouragement in doing the peripheral vision exercise.
The palming exercise.
The palming, that's it.
Yeah, during the dark, gloomy days in California, yes.
Yeah, it's really interesting. The more you think about it, the more you think about how seasons work. And maybe who's to say our vision shouldn't work in a seasonal way where we have lots of sun in the summertime and lots of sunning exercise, and in the winter we do more palming and resting. Yeah. Ready for that summer's work again.
That really comes from my experience of living in Washington State for so long, because there were such huge periods of rain. And I used to complain about this to Mayor when I was studying with him back then. And he would always say, well, when it's rainy, you just do more palming.
Yeah.
And that came from that.
So it'll certainly be something interesting to look at. But I've really been enjoying the sun, although I'm heading off to New York at the end of this week to work with some clients over there in New York. And of course, it's freezing and snow.
Oh, yeah, I did hear that, yeah.
So, I've got I finally waited all this time for nice sunny weather here in San Francisco, and it's finally beautiful blue skies.
It is.
And we're not going to talk about the fact that I'm going to miss the Super Bowl.
No.
This weekend, and there was a chance to be able to see the Giants win the World Series and the 49ers win the Super Bowl, and I'm pretty confident they will do.
They will.
That I'm going to miss it, but I'm obviously not dwelling on it, and I'm not bothered by that at all.
But you're improving people's visions.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'd much, it's, if anything, it's just a proof of dedication on my part, how much I want people's vision to improve. So pleased about that. I've also been doing a lot of obstructing still this week. I've noticed that the vision in my stronger eye is better because of it, because it's rested. And I also noticed a lot less eye strain. I can think a lot clearer. I'm not as tired.
Oh.
When it gets to the evening time, normally if I've been on the computer throughout the day, that I sort of feel really fatigued and I really just need to stop. But since I've been focusing on obstructing the stronger eye whilst I work on the computer, I get to the evenings and I still feel pretty refreshed.
Wow.
Actually. So a big difference in that front, and that's only over the last few days.
Well, they say that the eyes are sort of like the most important sense that human beings use. So it makes sense as you strain your eye, it's going to affect your whole being. It really does.
Yeah, so again, I'm still playing with it now. I think it's been maybe 2-3 weeks now. I'm still trying to understand to what extent the effects it's doing. I've noticed that doing cold towels on my eyes is assisting it as well. And I really feel like any sort of inflammation around the eye, it was any sort of mild inflammation or heat from the eyes is certainly being reduced from where the system isn't overworking as much.
Great.
So certainly encouraged. And I'm not actually feeling any sort of eye strain in my weaker eye from using it so far. I kind of feel like it's so underused that it's not even getting to the point of
eye
strain. So I'm not saying that's the same for everyone, and I'm certainly not recommending that everyone should go out and obstruct
constantly.
This is me, and I've been doing this for many years now. So we certainly suggest that people build up 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and see how they go. But some real interesting observations, and looking forward to see how my traveling in New York goes. Of course, I've always got those small RP anxiety, and I'm also getting in late at night, so it always sets up the poor night vision fear start going. But I'm doing pretty well at calming those down, and just make sure I do plenty of palming before I get out there, and try and work my periphery on the way out, so my rod cells are as active as possible for when I get there.
Great.
So I think it's a good time to move on to topic of the week.
And the topic of the week this week is 5 steps to a successful New Year's resolution, part 5, set a time frame.
And this pretty much explains itself, especially as the title gives it away, New Year's resolution. But it's a nice roundup to our 5-part series here. And if you're coming in on the end of this one, then certainly check out the 4 podcasts previous to this, so that you'll get a whole picture of goal setting. And the idea of it all was to encourage people to set a really good goal, a vision improvement goal. And as we've noticed, as we've been talking about it doesn't necessarily mean eye exercises themselves. I focused on actually spending time doing the eye exercises. Richard's goal is focused on the fitness side of things, to get more blood flow to his eyes, and what could be more rewarding than that. And you're already noticing such improvements from that anyway. So at this point in time, that could have been better than any eye exercise that you could have done. I guess we don't know until we try these things out, and that's why it's good to have a broad program. But we really wanted to give everyone a good kickstart to this year. Make sure that you've set your goals properly, so that you've got more chance of being successful. And we followed a method called the SMART method. So specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and then this last one is timely. So we're saying here is to set a time frame. In particular, we've recommended here a year, obviously, as it being a new year resolution. And the idea is, of course, is to make it, well, I guess, more attainable. It's more realistic. It's something that you're more likely to achieve.
Right.
For example, if I said, okay, I want to work on improving my night vision, and I'm going to give myself in a week.
Right.
Then obviously that's too short of a time in realistic. Now, if maybe it was, I want to reduce some eye strain, then maybe a week is a little bit more realistic. Of course, we talked before about being measurable and stuff, so you still need to be able to measure this.
And that's not so specific or measurable, right?
But the idea is that you're choosing a length of time that you can measure,
right?
That is realistic and is also attainable. So at the same time, if I said 20 years, well, that's quite a way away. Like whether I start working on my peripheral vision now or improving my night vision now, or whether I work on in the next 5 years, well, I've still got another 15 years before I need to achieve that goal. So it means that I'm not going to be as motivated.
Right.
So you want to make sure that in this time frame, it's something that you can do. So what do you think, Richard, would be an example of that with the exercise that you've got going on with your trainer right now?
I've set the goal of lowering my resting heart rate. Mm-hmm. So over a year, I'm hoping to lower my rate by 10 points.
Okay.
So that in some ways, that's the specific and measurable part of it. Mm-hmm. And then if I just say, and I do want to do it in a year, then it gives something very specific. The time frame, it's kind of simple. For me, I like to keep it simple. In a year, I'd like to lower my resting heart rate by 10 points. Okay. For me, then I could go at 6 months, how am I doing? Then you could set up sort of sub markers to at least know how close you're getting to your goal. And that makes the measurable part works that way as well. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah. And if, again, if you had said in the next 5 years, then, you wouldn't be working as hard now to try and get to that. But at the same time, if you had set yourself 4 weeks, then you might not have even achieved it.
Yeah, I think there's a hazard in setting too close of a goal in that sense. In the sense that, we don't expect you to drop your glasses or whatever, like lose all your diopters in your glasses right away. We want you to set an attainable number and then give yourself 6 months to a year to do it. Mm-hmm.
Especially as it could put too much pressure on ourselves. Like some people might just go, well, I'm never going to wear my glasses again. And maybe they're a -3. And everything is just so blurry that it's just so difficult for them to adjust to that. I guess cold turkey, you could call it. And some people do that, but if you're straining, we certainly don't recommend it. But it can be so overwhelming that people just after 6 months or 4 months, they just give up.
Right.
Because, to them, the eye exercises aren't working because they're not seeing crystal clear 20/20 vision in 6 months, or that it's just too much for them, which is why we recommend dropping down in diopters first or using pinhole glasses to make things clearer.
Yeah, I think for us then we would say use the year as if you're going to set a goal for vision improvement, a year is not a bad.
No.
You could make an argument for 6 months, but a year's good, and then just check in maybe every 3 months to see how you're doing on your goal.
And what's the rush?
Exactly. Yeah. And good things like this take time.
Yeah.
And
if anything's worth having.
Yeah.
Then you're going to have to work hard for it.
And we often tell clients that, they come in after 30 years of developing an eye condition and they want to fix it in, a month.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you spent 30 years creating that. Maybe you could take a year, partially removing that rather than expecting it to be gone immediately.
And also considering that the mainstream idea of this is that you can't improve at all.
Right.
So the fact that you've set yourself a nice, relaxed but motivated yearly task, if you do see improvements in that year, then how fantastic is that? Because according to the general norm, in a year's time, your vision should be getting slightly worse, and certainly in 2 years' time, you'll be looking at getting a new prescription of glasses.
Right.
So, there really is no rush. A year is a nice time frame to set. You might want to set yourself some smaller goals.
Right.
This method, the SMART method, we've chosen to pick out one goal that is going to take a year. Mm-hmm. Now, you can go back, listen to the rest of the podcast, take another goal, and you can set up several goals. You can maybe have 5 mini goals and then one big one that you want to attain at the end. The idea of the SMART method, it's a way to structure your goals so you're more likely to achieve them.
Well, the way this may relate to vision improvement in particular is that really, in the sense that I'm exercising to get a little more clarity with my vision, that vision is made up of a lot of different factors. Mm-hmm. So improved vision could be, you're blinking more, you have better blood flow, a lot of different factors go into creating better vision. So you could have multiple goals around different aspects of your vision. And the overall effect would be you would see better.
Especially if you're someone as fortunate as myself.
Oh, yes.
that has several visual conditions
that
I don't know where to start.
Yeah.
So it's good to pick one of them.
Yeah.
And then you can start working on that. And then I could have some mini side goals.
Yeah.
On the rest of my other collection of eye conditions.
Yes, that's
that
true.
I have. So certainly by setting yourself a time frame, you're going to be a lot more focused on what it is you're trying to achieve. It's going to keep you more motivated, especially as you think, right, I need to do this in a year. I know Richard and I were talking before about maybe something we could set up fitness-wise, whether it's a bike ride competition or a half marathon or something. And I know I talked about this before, but I know that when I set up a half marathon to run with my dad, that I said that we were running to improve our own vision, and also to run for blind charities to help people's vision that way. So I know that I wasn't running at all, but as soon as it was like, right, in a year's time, you need to run a half marathon that I'd never run before. Sure enough, I started training, and it sort of forced me to train because I knew that in a year's time I had to achieve something, and that if I didn't train, then I just wasn't going to get there, and I'd be a failure on the day.
Yeah, and so maybe for me, you're inspiring me in some ways to set up these sub goals. So one of the things I forgot to mention is that I did order the giant eyeball masks for the Beta Breakers run. Okay. So we could actually maybe even set a mini goal of how well we do on the Beta Breakers wearing rubber eye masks.
Are we signed up?
No, but it's no big deal to sign up.
Okay.
No, we will be signed up, and
we're gonna gate crash.
Well, people do actually.
We should maybe explain a little bit. The Beta Breakers is running from one side of San Francisco, to the other side of San Francisco,
the bay side to the ocean side.
I think it's maybe 100 years old or something. It's
race. Very, very old. Yeah.
And so we were thinking how we can start raising some more awareness on natural vision. Improvement. So Richard came up with the idea of running with giant eyeballs on our heads.
Yes, and I found them and ordered them through eBay. So we have giant eyeballs coming. So I don't know if we'll be able to breathe.
Look out on the news.
I don't know if we'll be able to breathe through these masks. So it'll be a real anaerobic experience if you can't breathe.
Yeah.
But that's sort of a mini. Okay, I want to drop my resting heart rate 10 points. But another one is, okay, in May 19th, we're going to be running in this race. So I need to be in shape for that.
Yeah.
In the summer, actually, I would like to buy a bicycle. So again, to be in shape for that. And I have people around me who are very good in shape who ride bicycles. So I have to compete with them. Things like that. So, yeah.
So definitely setting these longer term goals in front of you really drives you to want to achieve them, and it's certainly going to keep you more on track.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, I think it's a good time to move on to question of the week.
And the question of the week comes from Facebook. It's a woman who started and is following our website and following our advice about juicing. And she says she's doing better, feeling better overall from the juicing, but her vision seems blurrier. And then we have to go into more detail She's in her mid-40s, and she's wearing +1 reading glasses for presbyopia. And she says, could it possibly be the juicing that's making my vision blurrier?
Yeah, and she really emphasized that she's, picked up juicing the last month and is feeling fantastic. And in fact, both her and her husband have been doing it, and they both feel great.
Yeah.
Which is what we always, encourage through the juicing, is that you really do start feeling the benefits straight away when you do juicing, because of all the nutrients and all the extra oxygen and all the rest of it. Plus, you're also doing something positive towards your health.
Right.
Again, just being proactive. That's why our tagline is improve, take healing into your own hands. It's that taking control can make you feel good.
And quality of life. They've improved their quality of life.
Yeah. Certainly.
Yeah.
But it's just unfortunate that she's noticed a decrease in vision, both her and her husband. And she also said that one of her friends also reported this.
After doing juicing.
Yeah.
And the plot thickens.
Do we think that the juicing could have caused the loss in vision? Now, after all the years of studying nutrition and now studying the body and eyes, I could not think of a single reason why juicing would impair vision. If anything, obviously it's going to help it. This is why we talk so much about it. You're giving more of a supply to the eyes. If it was supplements, then maybe I would say, well, because you're flooding the system with such a high concentrate of a particular nutrient.
I even doubt that, quite honestly. But
So in that, maybe to that extent, but with juicing, and it's not. They're not even juice fasting. I think they're just incorporating juicing into their daily life and feeling the benefits. So unfortunately, probably what they're experiencing with that juice, say they're juicing once or twice a day, is actually how the average person should get anyway in nutrients. That's how the body was designed to get those nutrients anyway. So she's probably only experiencing a normal level of nutrients that the eyes should be getting. So it sort of highlights a little bit here why it's important that we get as much information as possible. And this is why we sent out that template, those of you that have signed up for our coaching call that we do every couple of weeks. And if you don't know about that, then you can head over to the Eye Exercise Express in the resources section on our website, and you can find out more about the coaching calls that we do there. But the reason why it's good to have a little bit more information is that this lady mentioned that her and her husbands are in their mid-40s.
Right.
They have their +1 lenses, and they're noticing that they're going to have to go up a prescription and that their vision is blurrier.
Right. And that's, if they were not juicing, they would experience exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
That's the reality of plus lenses, that you just progress your way up.
Mm-hmm. And the reason why, do you want to go into a little bit more detail on why that would be?
Well, it's your eyes become accustomed to having this sort of crutch of the +1 diopter, and then as you use them more and more, they become, again, the lenses are becoming stiffer, and then you're weakening in some ways the muscles, the accommodation muscles, or the muscles that would bend your God-given lens. Not to invoke God here, but
Zeus.
Zeus-given lens. So you're in some ways you're using a crutch. So imagine if you started walking with crutches, wouldn't your leg muscles weaken, and your ability to stand on your own, and your ability, it's not that complicated. Typically
people experience, be it a genetic predisposition to this condition, is presbyopia. Those of us that don't know about that in the audience is when you get around your mid-40s and the lens starts to stiffen, the ciliary muscles start to become weak and stiff. So it means that when you look at a near object, the lens isn't able to round, so it means that it can't focus on that clear spot at the back of the retina. So when you look near, it's not as clear as it used to be, and that's why you have to start moving your arms further and further away from you in order to see it, because that way the lens is flatter and it's reaching the back of the eye.
Yeah, and the doctors will say everyone will get presbyopia, and to a large degree, there's some accuracy to that. I was just talking to my trainer, he's been very grateful to our website because he's starting to deal with presbyopia, but he's in his mid-50s, so he's already 10 years behind the theoretical beginning of it. And he also reported that no one in his family has ever had to wear reading glasses or any glasses of any kind.
Wow.
And so it sort of argues that it's not just a physiological reality, that some people don't have to do that. And why is that if it's this physiological reality? But and he says part of it is the reflex to get the magnification of the reading glasses. He could see how it could lead down a road of needing them more and more and more. And he claims that he was talking about his grandfather never having had reading glasses. He said he was just too stubborn. He would just read irregardless.
Kept reading anyway.
Geez. and then never really lost that ability somehow. So, yeah.
And your trainer's ethos, obviously, he spent his whole life working with muscles and fitness.
Right.
So he approached your friend and said about the eye exercises.
Right. He said, well, this guy has been studying the body and being a trainer for 30 years. And when it started to hit him, presbyopia hit him, he was like, there's got to be something I can do. And my friend happened to be training with him. And as she said, I've got the answer. Go to this website. So he's been thanking me ever since. So,
and it just makes sense to somebody that's life is based around strengthening muscles. If you can do that, why can't you just do that for the eye?
Right.
So certainly in this particular case, then you could imagine that this person's lifestyle is still staying the same. They're not necessarily doing the eye exercises.
Right.
They've got +1 lens. They're still looking at the computer or reading. So they're not changing any of the habits. So the muscle is continuously getting weaker. It's continuously getting stiff, and the lens is also becoming stiff. Then you're wearing glasses, so there's no need for it to strengthen.
Right.
So eventually it's going to progress, and you start losing the ability to focus, and things get blurrier from near.
And you just have more diopters, and that's just the reality, And that just was a coincidence, I hate to say it. But when people are trying something new and something else happens, I think they make that connection.
And it's such a shame. And again, I hate to bring it up, but with the coaching call, we said we did a podcast on leave no question unturned, and how it's these small questions that can prevent us from doing it. And this is why we started the coaching call, is to get people doing that. But could you imagine if she'd sort of spoke to her friends and it was like, that happened to me with the juicing. And then sort of looked on the internet and couldn't really find anything, but maybe found something that said that juicing makes eyesight worse. I can't
there
ever
probably
imagine
is something out there,
but it's a conspiracy by holistic improvement.
Go eat junk food and your vision will get better.
But you could see how easy, a month of feeling fantastic on juicing, how this could really change things for her, that she would stop doing it because this question went unanswered.
Exactly.
So obviously, as always, we recommended that she should go get her eyes checked by an eye doctor and consult, with a qualified and professional doctor in that realm, just to make sure that there isn't anything else going on. But certainly, as you can hear from our explanation here, we can't see any reason why the juicing would increase presbyopia or lose focus.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, we hope you enjoyed this week's podcast. And like I said before, if you want to find out a little bit more about the SMART approach, then go back to the 4 previous podcasts that we've done here. Set yourself a goal. Now that you've got the final pieces to actually goal setting, then certainly set yourself that main goal now, maybe even set yourself some mini goals. Feel free to share them on our Facebook fan page. We would love to hear some of the goals that you've got setting up, and now you know all about our goals. We're going to have to keep to those now.
Yeah, we're definitely wearing those eyeball masks.
So look out for that either on the news or some sort of website, I can imagine.
Yeah.
And if you want to find out a little bit more information about eye exercises in general, then head over to our website at envisionselfhealing.com, and we've got plenty of information there to help you start improving your eyesight as soon as possible. You can also get your hands on a free ebook called A Modern Day Guide for Improving Eyesight, where we talk a lot about the very fundamentals of eye exercises and indeed how our modern day life could be contributing to poorer vision, and indeed how the exercises can help improve it. You can also catch up with us on Twitter. Both Richard and I are there. Just look us up, and you can also check out our Facebook fan page. Just look for Envision Self-Healing, and you'll also see my new picture I put up there this week of the iris flower, and you can feel free to print that out and do some shifting exercises, or indeed if you're at work or what have you, just bring it up on the screen and you can shift on it.
Shift with will.
Shifting with will. You can also, if you're listening to this on iTunes, and just click the subscribe button, and you can also subscribe there, and you can also do that on YouTube as well, so it means that you will get our weekly podcast every week. Okay, great. Well, good luck with your eye exercises this week and writing out your goal setting, and happy healing.
And have a good week.